Hello and welcome to Shave&Butcher. On this channel I mainly indulge in the pleasures of traditional wet shaving. So I shave, I show products, and there's usually a good joke at the beginning of the video. So, all good things in one. No joke today though, because serious topic today. If you want comedy and and rants, I don't rant very much, but the meaningless topics from life while I shave, you subscribe to the channel and you check out the other videos. There's quite a few. But today's topic is what you need in order to start shaving traditionally, classic shaving. Shaving like your grandpa or his grandpa in many cases. So there's a lot of stuff to choose from, a lot of ideas about what is traditional and what is not. This is my take. Now, the most traditional way of shaving is with a straight razor, and I'll get to that in a bit, long bit probably, but anyway. Two other ways of shaving I'll show you now. This is pretty traditional as well. This is a safety razor or a double edge razor. This thing, there's a lot of these. They typically screw open. You screw for a while. Screw for a while. Mommy, the man said you should screw for a while. So this comes, this type of razor blade you put in. Don't use any old razor blade you have in your toolbox. You need a specific one for shaving. The others are rubbish. All kinds of variants. This is a pretty fancy one where you have different settings. So you change how exposed the blade is. You can't see, very fancy. It's called a Mercure Progress. You can have a very standard razor. This is one you find in a lot of shops around the world. This is from Gillette. This is the, God, what is it called? I think the King Gillette. It's a bog standard 3-piece razor. So it has a top, you put the blade in, you put it in this thing, and you screw on a handle. Mommy, he's talking about screwing. Okay, this was supposed to be serious. You can get this for not a lot of money, and there's a whole variety of single edge and all kinds of stuff. You can also use something that looks like a straight razor, but isn't, because you have a disposable blade in it. You can change the blade when it gets dull. This is a Japanese invention. This is called an artist club. This is from feather. So you squeeze and you put in a different kind of blade. Lasts a bit longer, and you can't buy it in your ordinary supermarkets or anything, but you can buy it at good shaving vendors, and there's quite a few of those. Another style is perhaps my favorite. It's called a weck. This is old as, how old is it? Early 1900s. Has a different kind of blade, which is a bit thicker, that you put in, and this stuff is great. These are cheap to get. They're called, this one is called a weck 60 blade. You can also use a shavette that uses the same blades that you use in a safety razor. Typically you cut them in half, you just with your hands, and you put it in, and where is it? There's no blade in it. I promise you put in half of those double-edged safety razor blades and you're good to go. But of course, there's the most traditional way of shaving, and that is with a straight razor. All kinds of straight razors. Some are made today. They're fancy, made by hand. Takes a lot of time. They're quite expensive. You can buy vintage, typically just as good or even better. This is from England. This is a Shave&Butcher. You have different grinds, you have different sizes, you have all kinds of stuff. It's a whole wormhole of its own. But this is a traditional straight razor. Now, the others, when the blade doesn't cut anymore, you just put a new one in. This is your blade, and you can use it for a lifetime if you take good care of it, or you can collect them like I do, which, you know, don't tell my wife. She thinks they're all cheap. Now, if you have a straight razor, you need to maintain it. If it's not sharp from the beginning, and they typically aren't unless you buy from someone who's an expert in sharpening the razor, you need to get that down. So in most cases, when you buy even a new one, sometimes they're shave ready, so called, sometimes they're not. But in any event, if you use it regularly with some regularity, 30 to 50 shaves worth, you need to rehone it. So either you do that on your own and you go down the other wormhole, which is, you know, sharpening stones, and I'm not going to get into that today. There's a lot of videos about that. Or you find someone who's actually good at it and would do it, and you know, in Facebook communities you can typically find someone not too far away who would do it for not a lot of money. That's what I did for a long while. I'm honing now, rubbish at it. But even if you get it honed by a professional or you do it yourself, in between shaves you need to keep it fresh. And you do that by stropping the razor. So you need a strop. There are different kinds of strops. This is a good one. These are a bit more expensive. This is called a hanging strop. So you put this in a hook and you put it to a hook in the wall or a door handle or something. And this is a bendy leathery strop, which has another side, or in this case it has a separate strop which is made of some kind of textile. So you need that because you need to strop the razor in between all shaves, not every 2 or 3 shaves, between every shave. So this costs a bit of money. This is a good one. Wide, this is 3 inches wide. It's a bit easier to work with that because you can put almost the entire blade on it and you go back and forth. So YouTube is good for stropping videos. You can get a smaller strop as well. It requires a slightly more attention and a bit of skill. This is a favorite. This is from Australia. I got this from my friend. This is made out of kangaroo. There you go. There are no vegan strops. Someone tries to sell you one, don't buy it. Another another version or type is a paddle, so-called paddle strop. It's flat. This is fancy. It flexes a bit, so it has metal, leather, suede usually, glued onto a piece of wood, and that does the same thing. So which one is better? It's all a matter of preference. Regardless of which tool you use for shaving, if you want to go traditional, you need a few other things. You need a soap and a brush. Soaps should be solid. You can buy a cream and you can do that at your supermarket, and that's usually perfectly fine actually, and quite cheap. But a solid soap is what you want in order to be properly traditional. This is made today by artisans in Ohio. This is from Shannon's soaps. All kinds of artisan soaps. A lot of traditional ones as well, which you can get some if you're lucky in a supermarket, or others from people who sell shaving stuff. You can also get a shaving stick. Same thing, same idea. This is good for traveling. It doesn't take up a lot of space. It packs nicely. This is from Spain. It's called Lea. There's all kinds of them. They do the same thing. Now, building a lather from the soap is another universe. Lots of videos about that. But you need a soap, a hard soap of some kind, and you need a brush. So a brush can be natural hair or synthetic. This is, actually I'll start with the others. Most traditional probably is a badger brush. Oh, it's dusty, hasn't been used in a while. This is a fancy one from Paladin in America. These cost a bit more, and people spend enormous amounts of money on getting just the right knot, as they're called, and beautiful handle and that sort of thing. Artisans make them. You can buy secondhand, but a brush, maybe I'd buy a new one actually, because it goes on your face and new is nice. These are pricey. A cheaper option if you want a natural hair brush is boar. It's actually pig, I think, most of the time. It's all down to preference. These can be a bit more scratchy, so you have more feel on the face. Not always, but sometimes. Cheap option, just as good. If you want to be in a minority, you can get a horsehair brush. So badgers, they don't survive the brush making. Boars, to be honest, I don't know how they make them. Horsehair brushes are made, granted, they might be made from horses who've seen better days, but cutting the hairs off the horse actually doesn't hurt them. So it's not going to call it semi-vegan, but it's sort of, it's an option. Not everyone likes horsehair brushes, and they're harder to find. I like them. They're soft, they're pliable, they collapse a bit when you soak them in water, which a lot of people don't like, but it's an option. Or you can get a synthetic brush, which does just the same thing. This is made to look like a boar brush, I think. This is from China. Like all, I think, badger knots. I don't think they're harvested outside of China, at least most of them come from there, although the maker of the brush might be from other origins. But a synthetic brush is super good, easy to maintain, because you need to clean them from time to time, and inexpensive. It's a good option. All kinds of synthetic hair brushes. Those are the basics. You of course need a razor blade. So this I did show you what they look like. So you can buy these in packs of 10, packs of 100. There are different kinds. It's a whole universe of its own. If you use these, you'll get favorites, and just because someone else likes a certain blade doesn't mean you will. So try them out. They're cheap and cheerful. Now you should have an aftershave as well, of course. There's a lot of aftershaves. The most traditional is one, and this is actually made in the Ukraine. Liquid, alcohol in it, you put it on after the shave, burns your face a bit because you've shaved, right? And you smell nice. You can get a balm, which is scented. You can get a lotion, all kinds of things. But, you know, really to be traditional, you need some kind of reasonably classic aftershave. That's it. That's a lot of stuff. And I have a lot of what I just showed you. Quite a few brushes, for example. It's what you need. Go for it. It's fun. It makes shaving not a chore. It makes shaving something you actually look forward to. Okay, thanks for watching, and if you stick around, I'll catch you soon. Stay sharp.